Hello there, everyone. Welcome to this exciting special presentation. My name is Steve Chappell, the Director of Trading Systems Development here at VectorVest, and I am delighted to bring you this one. This one's titled 2 Blockbuster NASDAQ 100 ETF Trading Systems. And I'm even happier to report that these systems come from our subscribers. I think it's tremendous when subscribers get involved, come up to bat, and deliver. And boy, did they. So let's jump in and take a look. All right, so as we always do, we had a Blockbuster event. Our flagship event every year is the 2-day investment seminar in Tampa, Florida. And one of the highlights of that show, one of the things that really created a lot of buzz at the seminar was a brand new trading system that we unveiled called the QQQ ETF trading system. And it's the idea of simplicity and life-changing result. Because if you just couple VectorVest market timing with something as easy as the representation of the NASDAQ 100 by way of an ETF, a single investment, you can make 26% annualized rates of return. And you can make money each and every year, year on year. It's as simple as it gets. Well, as part of all of this unveiling, Ray Clark, our Vice President of Educational Services, indicated that a lot of you guys and gals like to get involved. They like to take a ball and run with it and tinker and create something even better. And this system opens up a lot of opportunity for that because of how simple it truly is. While we have stop losses listed here, 99 gain or 15 loss, essentially this is just a buy and hold. You buy on a first confirmed green light in VectorVest, sell on a confirmed down, the QQQ. You make 26% annualized since February of 2020. Well, our subscribers did in fact pick up the ball and run. And so a big time congratulations or shout out to the following subscribers for a job well done. So Don Rietzma, I'm going to call him the kingpin, really took the ball and ran, but had some help and some valuable help from both Mike Ellis and Ed Sneed. And so I felt it very appropriate to list those fellas out here as well. And I reached out to Don last week. We had a wonderful conversation, and I intend to reach out to both Mike and Ed as well and just really thank them and let everybody know we're going to get these systems in here because of how dynamic and truly special we think they are. And so the first thing that Don really wanted me to make sure we laid out was this idea of the NETS trading systems, which is an acronym, of course, for NASDAQ 100 Easy Trading Systems. So N for NASDAQ 100, E for easy, T for trading, S for systems, right? And really it's this overarching theme of we can take a market entity, like in this case, the NASDAQ 100. And if you know a little bit about ETFs, they supply a lot of different leverages. So you can do the NASDAQ 100 unlevered, which is the QQQ like we did in our trading system, or you can add leverage. You can add 2-time or even 3-time leverage. So the 2-time lever on the NASDAQ 100 is QLD. The 3-time lever, of course, is TQQQ. And what that's going to allow you to do, if you do it effectively, is create a very diverse set of systems that cater to one's risk appetite. So if we're going to be using more leverage, for example, we're going to have higher drawdowns, but much higher rates of return. And some people don't have that kind of appetite for risk, while others really do. So you can create systems that don't lever at all the way up to as much leverage as your stomach can probably take. And so it's just wonderful, and really wanted to get that across because you're going to see that naming convention so that things are easy to find and identify in VectorVest. We're going to be using that NETS framework on these systems. All right, now let's get into the systems themselves because there's a lot to talk about here. And I'm going to break this video into 2 parts. I'm just going to show the people, don't care about how the sausage is made. Just want to look at and follow the result after seeing some result. That's this first part, okay? And so, boy, look at this thing. I mean, it makes money literally just about every single year, 2022 being the exception. Leverage creates an interesting phenomenon when markets get a little bit rough, okay? But my goodness, this thing's up 195%. Now, it had a little bit more runway, coming in, and that amplifies the buying power each and every year as you continue to climb the ladder here. So that was certainly helpful, but this thing is stunning because the drawdowns and so forth that you're going to see in comparison to these rates of return are really worth following the system. So terrific job here for both Don Rietzma and Mike Ellis. And Mike was focusing in on the 2-time leverage, trying to take, let's call it a more moderate aggressive approach. It's hard to classify that one as moderate, even though it's in the middle. It's still aggressive. And so in VectorVest, it'll be classified purely as aggressive. But it's a little less aggressive, okay, than the one we're going to show next, which is this one here, the Nets Nitro. The Nets Nitro is up a paltry 5,200% or 642% a year. And so you want to talk about doubling your money and doing it fast. This is a system that can get that job done. You want to talk about life-changing potential opportunities, here again. Now, it's no stranger to anyone, hopefully, that with greater returns comes greater risk. But my goodness, this has gone through some of the best and even some of the worst markets that we've seen in a long, long time. For example, the COVID collapse is hardly noticeable on this graphic if you look right there in the middle. So it's tremendous. It really is. And so, the hope here, of course, would be that while future performance is certainly no guarantee, even if we only do fractions of what these systems represent, there's tremendous potential that's being unlocked here. Right? And so some of you are like, great, let me learn a little bit on the fly as we go. I just want to see, where do I find these things in your program, and how do I start following them? I don't care about all the rules, how you guys are making this out. Who cares? Just show me how to make money, right? All right, this is parts for you. So let's go right over in there. All right, in VectorVest, what I'm going to do is go right to the Viewers tab here, actually. And in Viewers, Trading System Viewer, okay? And here is Nets Nitro right near the top, and Nets Turbo above it. So there will be certain periods of time where maybe a delevered, for whatever reason, is working a little bit better than or a 2-time lever is working a little bit better than a 3-time lever, and so on and so forth, okay? But the most important part, both of them are right at the top here. And as we scroll across, this is the Nitro, this is the 3-time lever. This is the one that's up over 5,200%. You can see all the watermarks here, 16 over the last month, 28 over the last 3, 61 over the last year, and doing so very methodically. Maybe a little frustration in the air in the middle. I'm the guy that likes to point out these types of things that can easily be passed over. But my goodness, look how smooth and steady, and now how explosive this thing is when things heat up, right? So if the market can stay hot here, this is surely going to pass the turbo. All right, kicked in and is really starting to hum. All right, now as we continue to go across here, you can even see things like drawdowns. Right, so you see a 9 by the turbo, 10.5 by the nitro here. And so you can study all of these metrics, okay? An important thing to point out, you do need ProTrader. So you need to be a real-time subscriber or have purchased ProTrader to be able to follow these systems. And it comes down to the way that they treat confirmed down situations. It's a requirement. There's no getting around it. We can't build a system like this without ProTrader. So that's the one caveat just to mention here. Okay. Now, assuming you have ProTrader or VectorVest real time, all you got to do when you come in here, when you find them here, is paper trade them. Okay. So I can click on the Nitro there, for example, hit paper trade in portfolios, and then it's going to say, okay, do you want to start empty or do you want to follow? And what you want to pick here is follow. All right. Now, when I do that, I'm confronted with the next screen. It says, all right, do you want to open it now or open it later? And so I could follow both. So I'll open later, go to Turbo, paper trade portfolio, follow. Now I can open them. And when I get there, whammo, should take you right into VectorVest portfolios in this case. All right. If you do them from a back test, those are more sophisticated with the software, it's going to take you into my portfolios from there. But from Trading System Viewer, it takes you into the VectorVest section. Want to make that clear. And when you get in here, they should be right at your fingertips. So every time you open VectorVest, you just go into Portfolios tab, into the VectorVest section, if you did it the way I did, and then you'll find them named appropriately in here. So that when you click on one, say in this case Turbo, I can see, yep, this is the 2-time leverage with QLD. I can see what the purchase dates were. I can see what the cost was. I can see what the current gain is. I can see the stop criteria that's being used. In this case, 30% gain or 5% loss. For those that want to dig into the details more, you can click on the details button. We're going to get to those later, okay? All you got to do, if you want to start following or get involved with this trading system, is just follow what it tells you to do. And it's always best to start on a fresh sequence. Like since we're in a confirmed up, I might wait for the first instructions after a confirmed down. And it's not going to tell you, it's going to close this QLD and you're going to be waiting to open just the QQQ and the C down under a certain set of conditions. Okay, but just be patient. This thing is going to tell you what to do when the time is right. And that's all you got to do is sit here and follow it. Okay, wonderful stuff. All right, so for those of you that just want to know where is it, how do I follow it, and then thereby how can I implement it in the future, that's all there is to it. Sit in here, wait for a reset, wait for the confirm down, just follow it for now. And once the instructions come in here on a daily basis, once the instructions tell you to take action during the C down, you do it. But it's not going to be right away. You got to be a little patient there, okay? All right, now for those of you that want to see how the sausage is made, those of you that don't, thanks very much for being here. That's all you need to know. All you need to know, systems are in Trading System Viewer. Copy them over into Portfolios by the paper trade button, and you can follow them. For those that want to see how the sausage is made, here we go. All right, so Rietzman Ellis Nets Turbo. We are going to, after a C down, look to buy the single levered QQQ when we're in a C down, when the 10-day MA of RT is less than the 15 a day ago, but crosses above the 15 today. So at the close, then you take action the following day, provided that on that day, the RT value for the triple Q is still less than or equal to 1.12. That way we're not getting into something that's overheated. We'll wait until it isn't overheated and maybe buy it a few days later if the crossover is still in place. RT is going to have to sink below that 1.12 level, okay? We're going to exit that position when we get it confirmed up. So we're going to shut that one down. Why are we going to do that? Because that's going to give us the opportunity. Now there's no other stop loss there. That's another thing to throw in. You're just waiting for the confirmed up after the moving average crossover on the QQQ. On a C up, you close it. That's the only condition. That's the only one you need. You're going to do that so you can get into the leverage of the double here. This is the QLD. This is the turbo. Now, when we do that, we want to make sure, again, RT hasn't gotten away from us and needs to be below 1.4. On many confirmed ups, that's going to be the case. But on some where the market may have taken off like a rocket, again, you might have to wait a few days, sometimes even a couple weeks before you get in. You got to let that RT cool a bit, okay? Then we're going to buy it. And again, we're going to set a 30 gain or 5 loss on the position. So whichever happens first, right? And we're going to exit these positions when either one of those gain or loss are achieved, that's off purchase price, or a C down signal. You close, so the market can override, of course, and you might be up 17%, say. You get a C down at that point, you're going to close it. And so you place that order the following day to close out of the QLD. Okay, very simple. The sexy part of this, really, for me, where I think a lot of the great work was done, was on the moving average crossover on the QQQ. That is clever. So what that's going to do is, as Don likes to call it in our conversation, was give you a little bump heading into the leverage. So it provides a nice little quick amount of gain off market lows, not taking on too much risk yet. And then when the confirmed up is in place and we know markets are far more likely to keep going, that's when you unleash the leverage. That's the brilliant part here. So when we break this down, here on this chart, you can see a confirmed down triangle. So the market's signaled a confirmed down in VectorVest on the market timing graph, okay? And prices, of course, on the just the QQQ are continuing to sink. Now, eventually, the market will start to heat up. And when it does, if it does so enough, on the bottom here, you can see the short-term moving average cross above. And we can also see the RT level to make sure that we're below 1.2, which we are. So this will be a buy date right here. And we're just going to let this puppy run until we get the C up, right? And at that point, we're going to switch off into the leverage and try to take most advantage of what remains on the upside of the market. Then, of course, we're going to close that out on the next C down. See if there's an opportunity, maybe even if it's only a day or two, to get into the single lever before going back into the double leverage, and just keep rinsing and repeating that process. Okay, I looked hard for like the perfect chart to illustrate all this. This is about as close as I could come on the amount of time that I had to do so. So bear with me here a little bit, but I think this is really clever. This idea of, because, there's only confirmed up, confirmed down in the confirmed list, right? So the clever part is they've created a timing mechanism in a C down to get into just the single leverage a little earlier. It's awesome. Really, really clever stuff. So that's your entry. As soon as those moving averages turn bullish, you enter the following day and off you go. You're going to close that down again at the C up and get into the leverage, and then close the leverage on that following C down, and then just repeat that process over and over. So this is the search, and just showing you that it's going to get that job done for you. It's going to constantly be searching every day in that confirmed down for these conditions. We're only looking at the Qs, and we're waiting for the 10-day to cross above the 15. And at the same time, RT has to be less than 1.12. That's an important thing to remember. So what is that going to mean, in terms of looking at some equity curve performance? This is a different time frame, okay, but it illustrates this little bump that you're going to get when you're patient. So this was a market that waffled a little bit. You got your 10 and 15 crossover back here early September of 2023. We had to be patient here with the single. Remember, there's no stop loss, or even if we haven't covered that yet, there's no stop loss on the single. You're waiting for the confirmed up. And don't worry so much about no safety net there, because that, assuming you had a much bumpier ride or even downward ride before markets heated up again, the leverage is going to pull you right back out of that. And I'm going to show you some results here that will indicate the biggest loss over that whole time frame was less than 1% on any turn on the single. And most of the time you get this nice little bump. This was about 5% or so, before getting into the leverage and letting that take over. And you can see it didn't allow for you to get into the QLD for several days, if not a little bit longer, before you finally entered in, and boop. And that's going to be because RT was a little too hot. And we're going to wait for a little bit better situation there to enter. Okay. Might come down before it goes higher kind of idea. It's really, really well thought out. So in the C down, we waited until the moving average crossovers hit. We take a nibble, we get a bump. Then we're patient sometimes. Sometimes we're in QLD, the leverage right away. Others, we wait for the right opportunity, and bam, away she goes. And so this is the important part with the leverage. The watermark is a little bit different. You can see it's 1.4 on these searches, and that's for both nitro and turbo. Both searches have the same watermarks, both for the single at 1.2 and the leverage at 1.4, no matter how much leverage there is. Okay, searches, you just replace ticker symbols for the different amount of leverages. That's all that we've done. All right, so here's Nitro. So it's the same flow. The major difference is the stop losses. So on Turbo, it's 30% gain or 5% loss right down here. Okay. And then in terms of management on Nitro, it's 50% gain or 5 loss. That makes sense, right? Because the triple is going to have the propensity to outperform, and so a higher percentage gain can be achieved. They're keeping the risk constant, which I also love. So that's where the performance differences are made. Added leverage, added target. Okay, risk really being held constant, no matter which leverage you carry, which I think is very smart as well. And that's it, but a little bit more before we actually close it off. I will come in here and just illustrate a few things for you guys so you can check out the reports. And so this is Turbo, for example. I can look at things like trade history to get a better feel for things. I can see what some of the biggest wins were. Okay. And different time frames, about the same gains on some of these over different time frames. Yeah. Lots of them right up in there in that 31 to 32%. Well, that's where we're starting to take profits, right? And if we come down here a bit to the bottom, the biggest loser is 9%, and that was with leverage. When we look at just the Qs, here's those less than 1% losses, no matter which system, which I think is really cool, because why take the leap on the bump, the little bump heading into the leverage, if there's going to be too much risk there? Okay. And, you start looking up the list, every once in a while, you get a good return just on the single. So it's definitely worth going after the bump, but not being careless and just going pure leverage all the time. Okay. It does work out in your favor this way. So it's really, really good stuff. And of course, you can look at these reports for any one of them, either one of them. And if I click on, say, the summary report, there's good information in here as well. You get a feel for, trades. There was 83 trades in this system. 83 trades to get it done. I think the other one's 85. So just really, really clever stuff, guys. Really happy that you guys brought all this to the table. And of course, you can back test these. Here's a look. You can just come in here, create a new back test, and customize your time frames to your liking. You're just going to select an existing trading system, and those trading systems are going to be in here. You can start on any date you want to. In the past, obviously, anything before 2016 hasn't been tested, and why? There's no real reason to do that. So, yeah. At this point, I think it's just time to say, hey, kudos, guys. Really thankful you guys put in all that hard work. And now in VectorVest, all you got to do is go in Trading System Viewer, and you guys can all follow them. And hopefully make use of them, if not now, in the future. We'll see you guys next time right here at VectorVest University. See you then.